Betty, Betty, Betty. Were you hitting the sauce last night? I don't think so. I believe you.
After Mrs. Hill's examination by the aliens had been completed, she had an opportunity to speak with the leader of the aliens.
When I asked the leader where he was from, I said, I know you're not from this planet. And this is when I saw the star map. It looked almost like I was looking out a window. It had dimension to it. It was about 3 or 4 feet long and about 2 feet high. There were all these balls of light in it. And the leader explained to me that the heavy lines, the places they go all the time or frequently, the broken lines were expeditions. He asked me if I knew where I was on the map. And I told him no, that I knew nothing about astronomy. And so he said if I did not know where I was on the map, then there was no point of trying to explain it to me. I just didn't have the necessary knowledge.
Betty drew the star map she had seen on board the spacecraft, and it appeared in her book. Because there was no indication of which star was the sun, the best way that this map could be interpreted would be to build a large, three-dimensional model of the sun and all the stars near the sun. The one person who decided to take on this difficult task was Marjorie Fish.
When I first started, I expected to find many similar patterns to Betty's drawing.
But exactly the opposite happened. Because of the peculiar spacing of the stars near the sun, it was impossible for Marjorie Fish to find a match of more than 4 or 5 of the 12 pattern stars in the star map. Then she began to focus on the stars that were most like the sun and most likely to have planets and life.
Finally, only the very best stars for life were left. When that happened, I had a 9-point match.
In 1969, a new star catalog came out, giving more accurate distances between stars. Marjorie made a new model based on those distances and disregarded all stars except the ones most likely to have planets and life.
The whole pattern stood out, including 3 background stars. This was a very, very exciting thing for me.
The 15-point match achieved by Marjorie Fish of the Betty Hill star map is unique and goes far beyond the laws of chance.
Despite the fact that Marjorie Fish tried thousands of different combinations of stars to try to match Betty's pattern, she was able to find one and only one pattern that matched angle for angle, line length for line length, what Betty had drawn. The star pattern makes sense from nearest star to nearest star to nearest star. The sun is part of the pattern. Quite remarkably, every one of the stars in the pattern is the right kind for planets and life. And all of the right kind of stars for planets and life in this volume of space are part of the pattern. The chance of that happening by accident, all the right kind and only the right kind for pattern stars, is 1 in several thousand. Perhaps most remarkable is what it tells us where one set of visitors originates. The base stars, Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 in particular, are a very special pair of stars.
Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 in particular are the closest to each other pair of stars suitable for planets and life in our entire galaxy. Instead of being isolated from their neighbors as we are, Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 are 100 times closer to each other than we are to our nearest neighbor. Is